Hiya 10, Mrs. Cregan here with your big question, which is what is the importance of Banquo's ghost? Nice short one for you this week because I know you've got a lot of reading in your Macbeth reading booklets, and this one should help you with your understanding of Act 3, Scene 4 when we see Banquo's ghost. Okay, so I'll talk you through some of the points. And remember, when you write yours up, full sentences, paragraphs, embed your evidence, talk about the methods that Shakespeare uses, and keep linking it back to context. Why does he include this in his play? Okay, so manifestation of Macbeth's guilt and fear. So through seeing the ghost, we know that Macbeth is consumed by guilt and fear, and maybe that is why he can't sit at the table, because he knows that he's not worthy of that place at the table, and his fears of Banquo. He says he had to get Banquo killed because Banquo knew too much. And we know that he was right to have those fears, because earlier in the play, Banquo said in his soliloquy that he believed Macbeth played most foully to get the throne. Also, I like the quote, "Thou canst not say I did it, never shake thy gory locks at me." So that's what Macbeth says when he sees Banquo's ghost. So you can see him there still desperately trying to gain control, and also trying to keep this up with these appearances and to keep these secrets hidden. And Lady Macbeth, who doesn't understand Macbeth's fear, so painting of your fear. And again, that's a good quote to look at with this idea of painting, and that she believes that Macbeth just creates this fear. And, is it really, something that he shouldn't be able to control? She questions his manhood. And again, we see that really shown here when Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost. It also shows how mentally unstable Macbeth is and the damage his actions have caused, which is important because, he needs to be punished, whether it's, not, he hasn't been punished by law yet, but mentally he is being punished for it. And that's important because he has committed the ultimate crime. He's gone against the divine right of kings. And Shakespeare would need to make sure that he is punished for it. Remember that this is written after the Gunpowder Plot, and people suspected Shakespeare had connections to that. So this play was really a nod to King James and a warning to society, against regicide. Okay, and we can link that to some context there. So King James I, remember Banquo, the real Banquo that this character is based on, an ancestor of King James I. And even though in real life Banquo was involved in the murder of the real King Duncan, obviously Shakespeare leaves that out because he wants to impress King James I. And the idea that Banquo is in Macbeth's seat could be symbolic. Yes, it links to Macbeth's fear that, Banquo will ultimately stop him from being the king that he feels like he should be, but also that could link to King James I, kind of giving him that nod that he does deserve to be king, that he is the divine king and the divine right of kings. So it gives that King James a bit of relief by having this part in the play. Banquo, remember as well, is presented as Macbeth's foil character. Throughout the whole play, he's morally upright, he's loyal, and Macbeth knows that. He describes him earlier as having royalty of nature. Okay, so by Macbeth murdering or getting Banquo killed, that builds our sympathy for Banquo, and at the same time builds this image of Macbeth turning into this really corrupt, tyrant who's just bloodthirsty and doesn't care who he kills if anybody stands in his path. What else have we got? Reminds Macbeth of his sins. Remember, Christian society as well, and it was a huge sin to kill a king or to play God, I suppose, and so that's why Macbeth is being punished for it. And this idea of the spirits haunting the earth again, is that because Macbeth has disrupted this natural order by killing the king? And also it's important that, remember, at this point nobody else knows that Banquo is dead, So it's important in regards to how the other Scottish nobles view Macbeth. So they would have the suspicions about Macbeth and his position as a king, but also now when they do find out about the death of Banquo, but also Macbeth is presented as being weak here. You know, Lady Macbeth tries to recover it by saying, oh, you know, he's suffered from these fits since he was a child, but that wasn't what was expected of a king. A king was supposed to be strong, to be, you know, really composed and to be a good leader. And obviously at this point in the play, Macbeth is not showing that at all. And when you look at it as well, the idea that Banquo is in Macbeth's seat, it really alienates Macbeth. It alienates him from the table, but also could it be him being alienated from society as well? You know, because he doesn't deserve that place at the table, and he doesn't deserve to have the respect from the other Scottish nobles. And also remember that Banquo did promise that he would go to the feast. So some people argue that Banquo's ghost is again just highlighting how loyal he is. He does go to the feast even though he's been murdered. But some people argue it's his bravery. He is willing and, you know, wanting to challenge Macbeth. Even though he's been killed, his spirit goes to challenge Macbeth to say, you know, you will be discovered. You will be punished for your crimes. Okay, and just some other quotes you might want to link it to, because I think it is nice to link, if you can, to link things to those good quotes that you can build your confidence writing about the more that you do so. So, played most foully for it in Act 3, Scene 1. Forever knit, a good quote to show how loyal Banquo is. Full of scorpions, when you're talking about Macbeth's state of mind and how that's deteriorating. And I like this one as well. Cabined, cribbed, confined, bound. So that's when Macbeth discovers that Fleance has survived, and it just really helps us to understand in a really dramatic and engaging way how much this is having an impact on Macbeth's state of mind. You know, and you see that with the alliteration there and the listing and the connotations of these words of being trapped and, you know, not being able to feel free. And that helps us to understand how desperate Macbeth is to get rid of anything that will stand in his way of being on the throne. And then later on in the scene, when Macbeth says, I'm in blood, stepped in so far. So the idea that he's killed Duncan, he's killed Banquo, to him, really, he's in it so far now that it doesn't matter what he does from here. You know, he believes that he'll always have, you know, a mind that is full of guilt and torment, that it doesn't really matter what happens from now in the play. Okay, so do your own little plan, write it up as an essay style response using evidence, analyse your quotes, link it to context, and send it through so we can have a look at it. Okay, thank you.